Hello everyone, bringing you your latest Iraqi Dinar update, proudly presented by Iraqi Dinar, your trusted source for real-time news, currency revaluation insights, and developments in the global financial landscape. Let's dive right in because what we're hearing right now from redemption center contacts and banking insiders is creating a strong wave of anticipation throughout the community. The information coming in isn't just vague chatter or recycled speculation, it's specific, serious, and tied to a concrete timeline that has everyone on high alert. According to our sources, notifications are expected to go out this coming Tuesday, not over the weekend, not on Monday. Tuesday is being marked as the key day. That includes not just the long-awaited 800 numbers, but also the actual beginning of exchange appointments. For those who were hoping that something would break loose over the weekend, yes, this might feel like a letdown. But let's pause for a moment and think through this from a strategic angle. There's a reason why major financial moves typically don't happen on Saturdays or Sundays. Banks and government entities historically avoid implementing large-scale procedures over weekends. These institutions are either closed or operating with limited staff, and when you're talking about something of this scale, possibly the largest wealth transfer event many of us have ever participated in, logistical precision and security matter. Weekdays are the preferred choice, and if you consider the typical rhythm of business, Tuesday often stands out as the most productive day of the week. Mondays are for catching up, Fridays for wrapping up, but Tuesday is right in that sweet spot, and it allows maximum flexibility for follow-up activity throughout the rest of the week. Here's where it gets exciting. If the notifications do indeed go out on Tuesday morning as we're hearing, then exchanges could start as early as Tuesday afternoon. Yes, that's right. We're not talking about something far off. We're talking about a matter of hours, not weeks or even days. If everything falls into place on schedule, some people could be sitting in exchange centers by the end of that very day. Of course, there's always the possibility that things could take a bit longer. If additional coordination is required, full-scale exchanges could begin on Wednesday instead. But regardless, this is the closest we've come in a very long time to receiving credible, coordinated messaging from sources directly tied into the operational side of the process. While that timeline alone would be newsworthy, there's even more unfolding that deserves attention. One of the more familiar voices in the Dinar community, known as Pimpy, has also weighed in with his recent thoughts. Pimpy has been vocal about what many of us are thinking. He made a point that resonates. None of us want to see a deletion of the zeros from the currency. He made it very clear that the ideal scenario, the one that many investors have based their hope on, is one where the current notes retain their denomination and the value increases through a revaluation. In other words, we'd like to see a 25,000 IQD note go from being worth a few dollars to being worth a few hundred or even a few thousand, not replaced by a 25 IQD note under a redenomination scheme. This concern about deleting zeros is grounded in reality. The Iraqi government and central bank have made several public references to the deletion of zeros. This isn't a rumor. It's been mentioned repeatedly in official statements, economic reports, and media discussions. While redenomination doesn't automatically cancel out the possibility of a revaluation, it introduces an entirely different type of monetary adjustment. One that may focus more on accounting optics and less on benefiting current note holders. That's why Pimpy and many others are urging caution. It's not just about what's being said in conference rooms or public forums. It's about the patterns we're seeing and the consistency of messaging from official sources. That said, optimism hasn't gone away. Pimpy put it plainly. He wants Iraq to keep the zeros and raise the rate. Who doesn't want to wake up to life-changing wealth? That's the vision most dinar investors have held on to for years, that a shift from 1,320 IQD per dollar to something like 1 to 1, or even 0.50 to 1, could turn long-held currency into a financial breakthrough. But whether Iraq will take that path is the big unknown. It's not just a question of what we want, it's a question of what makes sense for Iraq's financial system, its international obligations, and its domestic economy. Adding another layer of complexity, there has been increasing talk in recent weeks about Iraq moving toward a central bank digital currency, a CBDC. This is a trend not unique to Iraq. Around the world, central banks are actively exploring, and in some cases launching their own digital currencies. Pimpy has been very clear on his stance here too. He said he doesn't like it because it gives the government far more control over the individual, and that's a valid concern. While digital currencies can offer speed and efficiency, they also open the door to new forms of oversight, tracking, and limitations on how money can be used. For those of us holding physical dinar notes, a shift to a digital currency format raises some urgent questions. Will physical currency still be honored? Will we need to convert our notes into a digital version? Will the value be preserved in that transition, or will it be subjected to new rules or limits? These are not hypothetical worries. They go right to the heart of what many investors are depending on. A CBDC rollout could significantly affect the exchange process, from the verification of notes to how funds are accessed and stored. If Iraq chooses to make digital currency its primary mode of exchange, we may need to adapt, quickly, to a new reality that looks very different from the cash-based model many were expecting. So where does that leave us today? We have several key developments converging. On one hand, there are credible reports pointing to Tuesday as the moment notifications will begin. That is coming from reliable people inside redemption centers and related networks. These are not random rumors. They're backed by preparation protocols and operational readiness. On the other hand, we have continued discussions from Iraqi leadership about deleting zeros and implementing monetary reform, which could mean a redenomination rather than a straight revaluation. And then there's the growing conversation about CBDCs, which could radically shift the structure and flow of the currency ecosystem altogether. That's why now, more than ever, preparation is critical. If you're holding Iraqi Dinar, make sure you know exactly where your notes are. Keep your receipts and proof of purchase. Have a clear plan for how you want to handle your exchange appointment. Will you cash out completely? Will you hold out for a possible second basket of revaluations? Are you planning to diversify your returns into other assets? These are not questions you want to figure out in the moment. The more you plan now, the more confident and in control you'll be if and when that call finally comes. And if you're just watching and waiting, that's fine too, but stay informed. We are now in a time window, from today through mid-next week, that could define the next chapter of the Iraqi Dinar story. We'll be here tracking every credible source, every policy shift, every real-time signal that could indicate that activation is finally underway. So stick with us, stay engaged, and be ready, because as it stands right now, Tuesday is shaping up to be the moment we've all been waiting for.